All right, the next one is, the school board has 9 members, Mecklenburg County Commission has 9 members, and many of our local municipalities have more than 5 members. What is the ideal number of commissioners to govern our growing county and why? Starting with Lance.
I don't think there's an ideal number. The key is getting the right people in place on the boards. If you have 5-member boards, you have 9-member boards, the key is getting the right people in place that will work together and communicate. As I mentioned earlier, we don't all have to agree on every issue, but it's very important that everyone sit down at the table and discuss the options. We may disagree, but at the end of the day, we may come up to another understanding that we meet somewhere in the middle. So getting the right people in place on any of these boards, I think, is more important than the number of people on the boards. And right now, when you look across the county, and you look across municipalities, we have a problem with the right people on the boards. They don't communicate, they don't talk to each other. When they do, it's not in an appropriate manner. They don't talk about the right issues, and they don't talk about the issues that are important to all of you. So again, I don't think the number is as important as it is getting the right people on those boards to discuss the issues that are important to the citizens of Union County. Thank you.
I think I'd share with you this. What happens if you have 2 wives or 2 husbands? It just conflicts and compounds the problem. A large board creates a problem because there are too many different issues to discuss. It's simple when you have less people involved. You control who's on those boards. So I ask you and beg you to very carefully select the people that you want to run this county. And I believe that the 5 that we have now is certainly large enough. Thank you.
More than the number of people on the board, it's about actually your support of those people on the board. We have 5 county commissioners who said some things when they went into office, and keeping score, they pretty much kept to what they said they were going to do. Right now, they're working to help the families that are fighting redistricting. They're doing things that they can to help them fight. There's only so much the Board of County Commissioners can do. But then at the same time, they're being complained because they don't give $91 million that we don't really have without raising taxes tremendously to the school board. So what do? You get elected saying you're going to do a job, and you do the job, and then everybody's upset with you even though you did the job you said you were going to do. So you as citizens need to look at these boards. Not just the town boards, there's a lot of scrutiny on the town boards, but the county commissioners and the school board. The school board's been given a blank check for many, many years. And not blank checking what they spend, but basically public support. Think of the bond votes that have been passed in Union County. Think of all the support that the schools have been given up until the last 6 months. And you'll know that I'm right. There's a lot of people in here that are fighting the schools right now that have been behind them, full force. But we as citizens, we have to look at these folks and say, hey, are they doing a good job? If they are, then you pat them on the back. If they're not, then we need to get rid of them and put other people into the place. But not just complain for the sake of complaining. Not just say that somebody is bad. Jerry Simpson on the end of the table here, I've known him since I was a teenager. And he's a lot of things. A good man. He's raised 3 Eagle Scouts. But when people say he's corrupt, that's not the Jerry Simpson I've known since I was a child. And yet, that's what I hear because people don't know the real Jerry. They haven't been around it that long. A lot of people just moved here. So, stand behind whoever, whatever number that is.
So an odd number is the right number, in my opinion. You can get anywhere with an even number. I tend to agree that 5 is enough for the county commission. You get too large and you don't get anything done. But more importantly than the number, it's the morals and the values of the people you elect. It truly does come down to that. It's hard to get to know us in this one evening, but you want honest people, people that can fall back on their experiences and their history, where you can see where they've been honest, where they've been open, where they've been willing to work with others, and participatory. You have people that come on, and we've all heard that 80% of the people, or 20% of the people do 80% of the work. We need people that are going to be active and that are going to represent the people. If people are coming on with agendas or support from special interest groups, then I say those are the kind of people you don't want, regardless of the number of them. So you want people that are going to represent you. I think I've done that, and I think our team can do that.
The number of the existing boards are by design. To Kim's point, they're odd numbers, and that needs to stay in place. Whether it's 9 or whether it's 5, I think the most important component is that you elect 5 or 9 independent individuals, not representing a majority or more like-minded than what we already are by being fellow Republicans. If you want progress and you want to manage it correctly, you have to elect the people for the boards who are going to do their homework, who are going to do their research on their own. Talk to the people that are affected. Talk to the people that are making the decisions. Get a collaborative effort around the transparency of what we're dealing with, what the issue is, what the topic is. And if you do that, it doesn't matter how many you've got on your board, because we're all pursuing the same goals and interests. Thank you.
Interestingly enough, after the 2008 primary, where Kim Rogers and I were the highest vote getters, there was a big push to create districts for the county commission and to increase the numbers. I spent a lot of time up in Raleigh trying to keep Raleigh out of our business down here. So when I did get elected, I actually chaired a governance committee that looked at this very issue. And a lot of very smart people met for quite a few weeks and did a lot of research and a lot of discussion. And at the end of the day, that committee brought back, first and foremost, the seats need to remain at large so that every commissioner is accountable to every person and every person can vote for those commissioners. Secondly, they really didn't have a preference as to 5 or 7. As a Republican, I'm for less government. 2 more people would mean 2 more salaries and an attorney that needs to represent 2 more people. So I think 5 is a good number, and since that was vetted quite thoroughly, I believe that that's the course that we should stay with.
I agree that 5 at-large members seems to be a good number. I'm not opposed if it was to increase to 7. I think for me, what I hold important in leaders and what I look for is honesty and integrity, positive attitude, the ability to communicate, to collaborate, and to compromise. People who are committed to listening to the voice of their constituents and representing that voice. People who have strong critical thinking skills and display discernment for whatever issue it is. For me personally, I would like to see 5 people, as it has been said, that are independent thinkers. I know that over the years I have struggled with the constant back and forth of the 2 versus 3, 3 versus 2, whatever it has been over the years. And so I fully support 5 people who all come together with a common goal, representing their constituents, realizing that the citizens are why we are all here, and working together for the betterment of Union
Well, as I mentioned in my bio, I've been in Union County for 60 years, my family since 1761. So I have no special interest except the benefit of Union County to our children and our grandchildren. There's been mention of corruption and lack of character and lack of interest or whatever. And I say bring the charges if those are pointed at me. With regard to the question of how many, I think if you check with the School of Government, I haven't checked with them in the last year or so, but somewhere either close to half or slightly over half of our counties have 5 commissioners. Some have a few less, some do have 9. I'm totally opposed to district representation. I think 5 is sufficient. And I guess the biggest thing I would say is I've heard from some of our candidates this evening, and they talk about issues that need to be addressed and are being addressed. And so often we find an emotional issue pops up and suddenly our boardroom is full of people screaming and wanting answers. An informed public is the best thing that you can have to secure a quality Board of Commissioners.